What's your background? What's that? What is that?
This is some sort of a painting that's in my Airbnb, and I'm calling it "Pile of Women" because if you see,
pile of. Did you say pile of women?
Pile of women, because that's what it is. Because you see 1, 2, 3, 4 faces here. There's actually a fifth one under here, and then all of that is like dress. So they're all like, it's almost like they were in the back of a van that slammed on the brakes, and they're like up to the front.
Oh Lord,
it looks
I can't
uncomfortable.
believe this is a great way to start. A pile of women in the back of a van.
Yeah,
who
like a tour bus.
Who somehow slipped out of their dresses when the brakes were slammed, and
well, they do appear to still be in their dresses, but I think there's extra dresses. It appears that there are more dresses than there are women in this painting.
This is great.
So, yeah, this is awesome for the podcast people too, because they don't see the painting, but they can imagine it in their heads.
Oh, I can only imagine what they're imagining right now.
In fact, that's a new contest. Draw what you're imagining from that description.
Please don't draw that. Pile of women. Okay. How are you?
So we're in the future. It's totally past Christmas.
As Henry would say, as he has said in the past, there is no tomorrow. He didn't say that. He said that was actually Apollo
he's
Creed.
A melancholy dude.
That was Apollo Creed. Henry's version of it was when he was like 10 years old. His version of it was, "It's never tomorrow."
It's never tomorrow.
It's never tomorrow.
That's a deep thought right there.
That's what he said. That was part of the things Henry says postings.
There's no day but today. That's Rent, kids.
He also said, what's one of the other fun things that he said about sweat? He said, I don't like sweat. Whoops, I don't mean to add that. Sorry. No. Sorry. Having issues. I'm having issues. Just.
Are you playing the Sasquatch game?
You think I could pull that off? I don't think so. You'd hear me. Stand by. I think I just need to read all of these. Although then it doesn't give anybody something to search for. Okay. I think I found it. He said, well, in addition to saying, did God make Santa Claus? That was a question he asked when he was 5 years old. Which is probably it's an appropriate question. But also that same year he said, this was back in 2011. So actually he would have been 6 in 2011. He said, I hate sweat. It makes you wet when you're not supposed to be.
It's very true.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. I think he's got the sort of the crux of the problem with sweat totally surrounded there. Yeah.
I think so too. He also said everybody is weird. It's just not everybody realizes it.
This also is very true.
And finally, one more. He said Mickey and God are very important. So there's that. Oh, he also said, and now I don't mean to politicize things. I really don't. I swear. But this was
a kid saying this.
But as a kid,
what does he know from politics?
This was 2016, so that would have made him 11 at the time.
Okay.
And he said, and this is, mind you, November of 2016. So you know what was going on. So he was paying. He was like hearing things in the news, and he said, Trump University, who would go there?
I think that was their tagline.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. Now a lot of people were saying that same thing, but He was maybe
And
prescient.
some people are sheepishly going, well, apparently me.
Oh, well, I mean, look, it's not their fault completely.
No, it isn't. No.
So,
no. Anyway.
how are you? How you're doing? Well, you okay?
Yeah, doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. On the road in picturesque Little Rock, Arkansas, visiting family for the Crimatimes, and in an Airbnb this evening, the remote studio.
Oh, with the pile of women. Okay, so it's that interesting.
Pile of Women Studio. That's what it's called.
Pow.
Yes. Pow.
And now, welcome to Batman and Robin.
Wait till we get the bang and the zowie.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, my friend Steve, that I actually mentioned on a podcast, the last one and one before, because they were both the same when we recorded them. Don't want to break the magic, but my friend Steve and I figured that there was a hierarchy of Batman's punches and kicks and whatnot. That like what noise it made let you know how hard he was hitting you.
Really? Did you catalog it? Did you come up with? You write it down?
We didn't sit down and officially codify it, but we do know that just the BAM, that's the lowest of it, because there was pow and like bang, and then the one that like, thwap. That was that was good. Yeah. But the one that is like the worst, you do not want to be on the receiving end of that, is zowie.
Oh,
because it's a ZOWIE, which in retrospect I don't see how that's an onomatopoeia for anything. But you whack somebody and it goes zowie, But that was the big one. That was our considered opinion anyway.
Did you have the Batman and Robin alphabet book?
No, I don't think I did.
Oh.
A is for what, Adam West?
A is for Alfred, the Wayne Manor butler, who's never been known to complain, who answers the bat phone in courteous tones, and summons his master, Bruce Wayne. B is for Bruce, who now takes the call with Dick Grayson, his ward, and his chum. C is for Commissioner Gordon, perplexed, who pleads for the Batman to come. D, down the Batfold, they deftly descend, donning disguise as they slide. Yeah, I'm not going to go on, but
Can you go all the way to Z?
I don't know if Eureka. Oh, I can't. I see under pressure. Eureka. Now that you're asking me to perform.
That's an E.
Sorry, was that E? D, down the back, they definitely descend, donning disguise as they slide. E, Eureka. Boy Wonder emerges ready for Batmobile ride, or something like that. G, Gotham City, terrified now, news of a new wave of crime. H, Holy Hat Rack. Wait, H, Holy Hat Rack. The something, because I'm gonna have to look it up now. See, you have to really know the whole thing. You can't just hear half of it. You can't hear half of it.
I wanted the story on why you spent time memorizing.
I didn't.
You didn't.
No, I didn't. I read it. I used to read it to my kids at bedtime.
Okay.
And it was one of their favorite books, and so it's alliterative. So you and then it became a game. Like, how can I actually just read it without reading it? Like, can I just remember it? And it turns out I could pretty well.
Cool.
And it's it's really a great book. But I don't know. I have not met anyone else who knows about this book, which is, it's a real book.
Well, apparently, but sadly, I am not familiar.
I don't even think I can't even find it on the internet. How is that possible?
I don't know.
I don't. I swear to you, I didn't make it up. I'm not that original. But the reason it came to mind, I did find it on Amazon. The reason it came to mind is because Z, which you think would be a difficult word to be a difficult letter to come up with a word. Z is for like zowie, bang, wham.
Oh, like, really? So they kind of cheated on that one a little bit.
What are you going to do? You do need to say it.
Seems like there has to be a villain or somebody that starts with a Z.
In Batman?
It's such a...
I don't think so.
Yeah, I was just trying to think of one, but it seems like a very Batman-y villain kind of Dr. Zany or whatever.
I'm gonna bring this book next time we get together. I got to remember to bring this book and maybe have a little reading. Maybe you know what? Maybe we should do.
Reading.
Yes, it will be dramatic because
whether we want it to be or not.
Exactly. Maybe I should do a live reading on our Facebook page.
Ooh, there you go.
Wouldn't that would be so exciting for like 2 people.
Yeah, we might get a half a dozen in on that.
Literally half a dozen. And 4 of them would be mocking me. But it is what it is.
And like 3 of them would be like family members that felt obligated.
But one would be you. I'm counting me. I mean, let's not get ahead of ourselves. I did not end up buying. I know you were wondering, but I did not end up purchasing the huge rare lot vintage Mickey Mouse Magic Kingdom Weeble Castle pop-up camper. Yeah, I did not do that. It's still there.
It seemed like it was. Oh, it hasn't sold yet.
It got worse because I had hearted it so I wouldn't lose it, on eBay. That's something you never want to see too, is all the stuff that I have hearted. But I had hearted it because I didn't want to lose it. And then I got a notification same day. I got an email actually same day from eBay saying the seller noticed your interest and has discounted it by like $50.
Oh, that's enticing.
I know. So then I texted Michelle and I said, I'm about to do something very indulgent, purchase something very indulgent. I had to say purchase something because otherwise it leaves room for interpretation. And she said, and then, Michelle being Michelle, she says, like, you deserve it. You should.
Go for it.
I'm like, what the heck is wrong with you? Your job is to protect me from myself. Like, how do you not know your role all these years later? Like, you can't just be agreeable all the time. You have to say, no, I don't think it's a good idea. Because otherwise you're going to have a house full of Weeble-Wobbles.
Show title.
I mean, so it's just sitting there still, like, beckoning me. But it's amazing. It has, like, all the stuff. I'm not going to do it. Because I was thinking, I could put it on the shelf behind me.
Yeah.
There. It'd be so. I can't do it.
Can't. Yeah.
I could, but I'm not gonna do it.
Not gonna. Look at you, man. Of Steel.
I also found
you're an oak.
I also found the Star Wars vintage Kenner Death Star playset from 1977.
Yeah, you sent me a thing for that one. And that's the one with the little bits that are still in the package. That's nuts. Who found that?
I forgot that you have to tear the foam yourself. Do you remember that?
They're like perforated or whatever, but you have to pull them apart.
How do you remember that they were? It was.
Well, because you can't like cut 50, them.
What is wrong with you? Like it was. I mean, come on. You can't possibly remember.
Otherwise, you have to like.
There's no chance
create
you remember
your own
that it was.
Shapes
I almost want. Now I want to buy it just to prove the point. Like, there's no possible way you remember that was perforated.
With the little foam pieces, there's no other way that you can do that.
How? You just tear it.
Well, yeah, but but they were like triangles. They were shapes. They.
I don't think so.
Make your own shape.
You just tear it in different. I don't know. It's random. Maybe I got the like.
Well, you buy it, and I will guarantee you that they are perforated into triangles.
So you're just like following.
You do not want to mess with me on this.
This is like a logical approach to it or something. This isn't like a memory based approach to it. You're saying.
This is a memory because I remember the pieces were triangular.
No way you remember. Oh God, no! It's driving me crazy. You just want me to buy this.
I do.
I'm looking at the square. I'm looking at the squares. I don't see any perforations in them at all.
Well, you wouldn't because they're just kind of slices through the foam, and then when you but if you pull them, a little bit, you'll see the cuts through the foam rubber, foam rubber.
Okay, I don't know what to say other than
buy it now.
I think It's $132.50 plus $17
Which
and 11
astounds
cents
me.
in
I would
shipping.
have thought that, especially in that condition with stuff still in packages and
Mm-hmm.
stuff, that it would go for a lot more than that.
Don't say anything.
Oh yeah. Hey, Death Star dude, it's not worth that. Take $50.
You know
off
what's
the
really
price.
expensive? You know what's really hard to find a full set?
What's that?
As it turns out, the Gilligan's Island, the floating Gilligan's Island thing. Remember I told you about the Gilligan's Island
Yeah.
island? That it was like it
Was
floated.
Was that part of the Weeble-Wobble thing, or was that?
It wasn't Weeble-Wobble, no.
No.
It was like Mattel or Fisher Price or something. I don't know. It was like
okay.
the little Gilligan's Island dudes. It's hard to find a complete set.
Wow.
And then that's expensive. It's like $150. And this thing, according to the Sears catalog from 1978 or whenever it was, I think it originally sold for like $20, if that, maybe 15. It was not expensive, and now it's. I mean, I don't think a lot of people bought it.
Clearly. And
That's
it was
why.
And it was like $20 back then.
I think
And
so.
that was 80.
I'm not going down.
80.
I'm not opening that catalog again. I'm not doing it.
Yeah,
It's not gonna
but,
happen.
I bet that was perforated too.
I just know I lost like an hour of my week last Thursday when I started looking at these things.
I don't know if you.
And
lost
your
that hour.
you're so about the foam. You might have a foam fetish or something, because your
It's
response when I sent this to you was, the foam pieces haven't even been opened. Holy crap. Like, you were like so excited about the foam.
Well, it was the only obvious sort of still in the package kind of thing. Everything else was out of the box, obviously, but it didn't come in its own package. That at least indicated that some of this stuff has not been messed around with. Mm-hmm. I didn't remember if the little Dianoga was in there or not.
Wait, when you responded to me, you said there's no way that stays at $50 for very long.
Yeah, I figured that.
Oh, right, because it was a
People
bidding
would bid
thing.
on it and-
Oh, I
yeah.
see. You're right. It wasn't a buy now. So it ended up selling for $132 altogether.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was that.
Again, it surprises me that it didn't go up higher than that.
I mean, I don't know what to tell you. But the
I
huge
have
rare
no
lot of
idea
Mickey
how
Mouse is still
Rare any
available.
of these things.
It's listed at $194, and I think they were offering me like another, I don't know, $46 off or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And
$46 off.
it was a weird thing. Anywho's, so we had several pins sent back and forth. I don't know if you have anything else you'd like to talk about. I know you've had an adventure and travel and stuff like that, but we can talk about whatever you want, really. I mean, whatever comes to mind. You tell me. It's
Well,
I'm here
I mean,
for you. I'm here for you tonight.
Oh, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Yeah, I don't really have a whole lot of stuff to talk about with regards to the trip. It was a pretty standard road trip. Nothing weird happened.
Did you? So you didn't play? You didn't put it on autopilot and play Sneaky Sasquatch? Is that what you're saying?
No, I did not. No.
You had one job.
Well, saving the camp didn't happen. But yeah, no. One of the things I did encounter is the 3 pins that you sent me while I was driving.
That must have been quite an hour for me too, because I think I sent you a pin at 3:52.
Yeah,
and then I sent you another pin at 3:58. And then I sent you. Did I send you another pin? I think I sent you a third pin at 4:05. So I was kind of on a tear there.
Yeah.
Wow.
You really hit it, and they seem to be like different sort of potency pins. Like your one about the mute point seems like a kind of a quickie pin.
I
But
mean,
the dentists, dentists. When the pin is one word, that's a good hour of stuff right there.
I mean, I can't. I honestly, I'm gonna have to let the subconscious like work on it, chew on it a little bit, because I, for the life of me, could not tell you the specific thing I was thinking of when I said dentists.
There's a lot of possibilities there, and some of them I agree with for sure.
And I don't want to be derivative for sure.
Well, not purposefully anyway.
Right. So I think mute points is a good one to start with because it actually is a little more. It's a little more sinister than you may otherwise think. So mute. Saying the phrase moot point, right? For those who don't know, basically means like it doesn't matter.
Right. It's
the
irrelevant.
point is either irrelevant or resolved or whatever. It's like it's just a moot point.
Moot.
Okay.
M-O-O-T.
M-O-O-T. That's right. My older brother, who happens to be a veterinary surgeon, when we worked together, he would come into my office occasionally, and then, you know, he would make this point about how, and I don't mean to be redundant there, but he would in conversation say that something was a mute point. And I came close so many times to correcting him. But he happens to be, he's like my older brother. He's like, you know, the guy, he had all the girls when he was, you know, young. He had all the attention. He was a drummer. He still is a drummer. You know, he was good at everything he did. It didn't matter. Like the thing he tried for the very first time, he was just good at. Right. Then he became a surgeon. You know, it's like this whole like veterinarian, then a surgeon. It's like, you know, of course he did. Right. All this stuff. So when you have somebody like that, you encounter somebody like that who says mute point.
Right.
I kind of like, at least me, this is maybe it's just me. I kind of just like leave it hanging out there. And let him go through. Because
you think that with the guy being a veterinary surgeon and good at all these things, for a second there you're like, well, maybe I have it wrong.
No, I never thought that. It's more
Okay.
like he's like, you know, the surgeons and other, you know, doctors of certain things, they're super smart. They're like hyper intelligent people, but in a very narrow sense.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And so me, on the other hand, I'm like an idiot when it comes to like any one particular subject. But I know, like, I have this like cocktail party level knowledge of all sorts of things.
Right. Yeah, all of your veterinary surgeries have gone completely wrong.
Correct. The ones I've planned to do but never did. Yes. But you know, saying mute point wouldn't be something that would happen to me.
Right.
But it's like the one thing I have. It's like the one thing I have that I can just kind of like leave hanging out there. And there's things, I kind of have a track record of this. Like when I was working for the U.S. Senator, who, you know, has since passed away just in the past couple of weeks. Great guy, super good guy, very intelligent, hardest working person I've ever known in my life. He grew up. His parents were immigrants and owned they started and owned a Greek restaurant, and he was forced to like work in the restaurant as a kid. So like anybody who's worked in a restaurant, especially like a family owned restaurant, knows like you have to have a strong work ethic to survive.
Oh yeah.
So especially if you have like immigrant parents who are like, you know, you may die if you don't. I may actually kill you if you don't wash these dishes and clean these tables and whatever. Anyway. Great guy, but he was kind of being a jerk one day to me, and I happened to be driving him to the train station to go. I don't know where he was going. And he was just kind of, he was giving me a hard time about something, and so he gets out of the vehicle, my old Honda Civic, my 2-door Honda Civic, gets out, and I notice that his pants leg is stuck in one of his socks. And I was about to say, "Hey, Senator." No.
You know what?
I'm just gonna let it go.
How about you keep that?
That was and I felt bad about it like after the fact. And it's not one of those things like I can bring up and say, you know, I feel bad that this happened the other day. You don't do that. Right?
No,
I could never do that. But I do feel bad about it. But at the same time, like I have this track record of doing this sort of thing where like I'm the kind of person, I will tell you that you have something on your face, you have food in your teeth or something, unless you've been a kind of a jerk to me. In which case, I'm gonna probably let you go out throughout your the rest of your day.
You just kind of declare yourself a non-combatant here. I'm not going to do anything bad, but I'm not going to necessarily do anything good either.
Right. I'm neither throwing the fat man down into the train tracks, or am I throwing a switch, or I'm just walking away.
Right.
You know that whole thing about like if okay. So
No.
You don't.
I don't.
Okay.
Let's just go on with it.
We'll talk about that later. That's a different story.
That's a mute point at this point.
Exactly. But there's other words that are like that too, where people will use the wrong word. But it's just like a slightly different version of the word. I mean, mute point I think is a really common one.
Yeah.
And it's like somebody actually said, I mean, the reason it came up is because somebody said it. And now I can't remember who it is, which is a good thing because I don't want to embarrass anyone.
Right.
But
call them out.
This came up because somebody actually said mute point in a meeting that I was in, and I almost died. I almost died.
And the worst part is you can kind of see why they might think it's that, because it's a point that's silent and therefore it doesn't affect anything around it. You know, you can see them kind of thinking that might be the origin of it. But it's like, because there's some that make no sense whatsoever if people would actually think about them, like for all intensive purposes. Like that makes no sense. For all intents and purposes is obviously the right thing, and that makes sense. But for all intensive purposes, that doesn't make any sense.
Exactly. Right.
So why would you think that was correct? Like I could almost see why you would think mute point was correct, because there's kind of a way that
people hear.
Works.
It's like I thought for the longest time I thought it was old wives' tale.
Oh, yeah. See, that also kind of makes sense.
Well, not old wives' tale. It's old wives' tale, but like
right.
If you hear,
but you can see where you're coming from with that.
I guess. I mean,
and it's an old wives' tale, you know.
But no, old wives' tale would indicate that there's actually some like. Oh, there's intelligence.
Oh wait, I
behind
guess that's true. Yeah, because a wives' tale would be a completely untrue thing.
Which seems like not a nice thing to say
it'd be
either.
The opposite, actually.
Right. Not because wives are dumb. It's because like it's like saying, "Oh, that's just an old wives' tale." Like it's not. Anyway, I don't want to defend a phrase that I didn't come up with. I didn't invent this.
Right.
I'm going to walk away.
Of that.
Let the fat man die. Anyway, so then. So let's think of another one. So another one would be, here's a phrase. I could care less. People say for I would say for maybe 3 to 16 years, I would say something like, no, you mean you couldn't care less, because if you could care less, you probably would care less.
Yeah, there's room there.
Right. So, and people would look at me like I have 3 heads. So then I just stopped.
Right.
But a little part of me dies inside every time someone says, I could care less, because I just like, well, but would you? Like, could you? Maybe you would care less, actually, because you probably would. Very unique.
That's one that I am weirdly sensitive to.
I mean, it's binary.
Right. It's either unique or it isn't.
Right.
It's like being very pregnant. You know, it's not. You either is or you isn't.
Right. And I think other people soften things up too. They'll say like, "Oh, it's relatively unique," or, I mean, I think you could get away with saying
mildly unique,
categorically unique, contextually unique, artistically unique.
In which way is it unique? That makes sense, but not to what extent is it unique?
It's not. Then it's not unique.
It's more unique than the other.
It's an impossibility. What's unique is your inability to understand what unique is.
Right.
And actually, that's not even unique, because there's so many people making me angry about it. Yeah. So that's another one, right? So very unique, mute point, old wives' tale, could care less.
One that I don't know why this has chapped me off so much, but and it really is only an online thing. I browse like the Reddit and whatnot, and when somebody is trying to say psych, Like, hey, you want a cupcake? Psych, because that was kind of something that our generation pretty much came up with.
I don't think anyone says that anymore, though, do they?
They do. They do online, and they spell it Sike.
That's how I would spell it too.
But it's not. It's short for psych out.
I've never actually.
Psych.
Yeah, but no one's going to type all those letters.
It's only 2 more letters than what they're typing.
That's a lot of letters. That's way too many letters, especially when you're dealing with a generation that doesn't use punctuation. Well,
and nobody is going to spell laugh LAF. I mean,
are you sure?
The correct way of spelling it. Well, not nobody, but
yeah, I don't think I've ever written the word. Psych, other than like psychotic, psychiatrist, psychic, psycho, like. It's different.
And then put something on the end of it. Yeah.
Yeah, but interesting.
That was a good show, by the way, Psych.
Was it it was a show?
Yeah, and Dule Hill from West Wing in it. And
what did they do? What did they take it back?
No, no, but that would be kind of funny. Yeah. But
well, we didn't cancel the show. We just took it back.
We were renewed for season 10.
Is it? Season 10? How do I
think about the name of the show?
I just walked right into that. That's a little embarrassing. It's one thing when I walk into it when we're just like together, you and me. Walking into it with like the 6 other people listening, it's a little embarrassing, actually. It's a little embarrassing. I don't know. Do you have any others? You have Psych. You have. I know there's like. Here's the thing. There's so many. I should be like writing these down as I go through life, like, just feeling better about myself. Me Off
by Jason Panicana. Is that volume 4?
I did. Okay, I remember the dentist thing. Yeah, so whenever we're ready to explore the dentist's office, then we can head on over there. Yeah, so I know the mute point thing. That was the whole deal. It was like there's just words, like these words and phrases that kind of bother me that people get wrong frequently. And maybe maybe some folks listening could hop on over to our Facebook page and give us a list of the words that they bother them too. Yeah, probably some that I've said.
Them in the comment section.
Or that too. There's that. There's a comment section?
Well, we post the episodes in the Facebook page.
Oh, that's true.
If you put the comments in
it's right down
post,
there. It's right down there. Or on YouTube. It's right down there.
Yeah, right. It's down there on YouTube too. I think I turned off comments on YouTube. I may turn them on.
Why would you do that? Are you afraid?
Commenters.
Are you afraid?
I'm just not a fan of YouTube commenters.
Aw.
Well, it was an alternate site really at first. But I think a lot of people, that's their primary way of intaking the show now. So
all these pent up comments, they're not gonna remember them all.
Like, go back to episode 1. Let's see, what was I gonna say about this? Oh yeah, get a green screen.
So, I feel like there's probably a repository of misspoken phrases somewhere.
Surely.
Right? I mean, like,
I'm
look,
sure there's
life
a
hack.
Wikipedia page on it.
There's a list, nip it in the butt versus nip it in the butt. I don't think anyone says nip it in the butt, do they? Do people say nip it in the butt?
I hear people say that, yeah.
Oh, guess what number 2 is? I could care less versus I couldn't care less.
Could care less, yeah.
Oh, here's one. One and the same versus one and the same.
One and the same, yeah.
One and the same. But I think I mean to say one and the same, but because I have a lazy mouth, I say one and the same.
Right. It's
like Batman and Robin. If I say Batman
and
Batman, it's really I'm saying N. I'm saying the letter N. I'm such a lazy little dude that I say.
And I think most people do that, and that's why people think it's that. Probably. There's like Chip and Dale.
Oh, people say this. You've got another thing coming versus you've got another think coming. Is that really a thing?
Yeah.
Really?
I think so. Yeah.
You think so?
I think so.
Each one worse than the next versus each one worse than the last. Each one. I don't. Who says that?
Well, I don't think I've heard anybody say each one worse
Each
than the
one
next.
worse than the next? I don't know that. On accident versus by accident.
How would you know how bad the next one is?
On accident versus by accident.
Yeah.
I've heard people say on accident, but I that's a pass. I think that's like just like whatever.
That might be down to like regionalism or something.
Oh, this is a good one. Statute of limitations versus statute of limitations. Right. That's funny. And then for all intensive purposes versus for all intents and purposes. He did good versus he did well.
Yeah, the good well thing, yeah.
I had a so my high school counselor, the advisor, counselor person was great. I mean, almost really life changingly in a positive way. Great. I mean, like just great. She is the person who taught me at some point. I think she asked how I was, how I'm doing, how are you doing, and I said good. And she and then she, I don't know if she corrected me or if she like just answered back that she was doing well or something like that. It was like the whole thing. And so then I learned from that point on that somebody asks how you're doing, you say I'm well. Yeah. But that people, I think people think that's weird sometimes. I'm well.
Doing well.
Well, it's weird. I think like you say
like versus sick. Sometimes a lot of people will hear that I'm well. Versus I'm sick.
I don't even like that though. Like I hate the how you doing thing.
Yeah.
Well, like most of the time you don't really want to know.
Yeah, it's that weird social contract that we have with people that.
I mean, when I ask
like we're concerned, but I'd like you to act like you're doing okay.
Right. I'm going to ask you how you're doing. You are going to respond. I'm doing fine. I'm doing okay. Doing there was this guy in my first job. There was the accountant who worked for this company. He would come through, once a month or so, and I would pass him. And I think he waited to come out of maybe I don't know. Maybe he was kind of weird, creeper or something. But like I would pass him like every time he visited. Mm-hmm. Of course, I also stocked the shelves, so that maybe that part had partly to do it. But anyway, he would walk by, and I'd say, "How you doing?" Or he'd ask me, "How you doing?" And I'd say, "Well, like how are you?" And he'd say, "Great." Like Tony the Tiger, kind of great. He was like, "Great." And every time he said that, I was like, son of a... I was like mad. I was mad. And then because I was like, what do you mean you're great? Why do you have to one-up my good?
You get off
or
being
well
so
or great? Who's great? No one else in the world has ever answered the question that way. Mm-hmm. And then one day, I kid you not, he said, how you doing? And I said, great. And he didn't say anything back. He couldn't even respond. I think I threw him off his game.
You stepped on his line.
I totally threw him off his game. And I was like, this is powerful. No wonder he did it. No wonder. Because like, think about it. The person who is just being polite, but inside they're kind of dying. They're like crushed by something, or unhappy about something, or but they're just going through the motions and being polite, and they say like, how you doing? And you respond, great. It's
kind of rubbing it in their face a little bit.
It's kind of right. It's kind of crushing a little bit. Anyway, old timers disease versus Alzheimer's disease.
That one is a weirdly apropos one.
I'm giving you leadway versus I'm giving you leeway.
I don't know that I've heard that one.
I haven't either. Axe versus ask. I don't know that that's a thing.
That's a regionalism kind of thing.
What's your guys' opinion versus what's your opinion, guy? I never.
Yeah, I mean that's replacing the plural. I mean that's kind of a problem with the English language, right? The plural you is the same as the singular you, so we end up trying to emphasize that we're talking plural by putting you guys or y'all or whatever.
Espresso versus espresso.
Yeah, that one kind of bothers me, and it shouldn't, because that's such a bougie thing to get uptight about.
We're talking about expensive coffee. Memento versus memento.
Wait, what was the first one?
Memento versus
Memento.
Memento.
Memento. Memento. That one's it's the same. It's a memento that's going really fast.
And this is a one. It's like 2 sentence description. Memento isn't a word. A memento is a keepsake. This may be the crown jewel of them.
Okay.
This is the thing that drives my one of my best friends really crazy. Irregardless versus regardless.
Oh, I can't stand irregardless. I actually used it earlier, just ironically, but yeah, you missed it. I think you were yammering about something.
You said irregardless?
Yeah, just
on purpose?
Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
Because I was trying to drive you nuts. But yeah, irregardless is, and the thing is that what have I heard? I mean, the Oxford English Dictionary has now become just hot garbage because they add everything in there, and I think irregardless has been added like fairly recently, from what I understand.
But the problem is that regardless means basically like to not care,
right?
To to have no regard over something, right? Irregardless then creates a double negative,
right?
So
right. I mean, I'm going to start saying non-irregardless.
It's because it's irregardless would be to not care, not have regard. So you have regard,
right?
Like so it isn't regardless. Yeah, I don't.
It's regardful.
I think this is picky, sorta versus sort of.
Oh no, that's just a colloquialism.
Right.
It's like gonna, Gonna. I mean,
conversating versus conversing. I don't think that's really a thing.
Oh, I tell you one that does bug me is orientate rather than orient. Like orienting yourself. Like I'm orientating myself.
Really?
Like we're taking orientation and trying to turn that into orientate, but it's not orientate, it's orient.
Is that really a thing?
Oh yeah. Huh. As a matter of fact, I think it's we're gonna get a message from Claire on this one because it is used a lot in the UK.
Orientating?
I'm disorientated. No, you're
it's
disoriented.
Disoriented. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, well, the Brits aren't always correct.
True.
Scotch-free and scot-free.
Scotch-free,
Scot-free, and
Scott
Scott
with 2
free.
T's.
So Scott with 2 T's and then Scott with 1 T.
That dude down the street, he's not involved in this. This thing is scot-free.
I mean, I made a complete 360-degree change in my life.
Oh, yeah.
Versus I made a complete 180-degree change. Yeah. I think I have.
Just means you get a little dizzy, but you're still thinking the same thing.
I'm sure I've said that at some point, though. Curl up in the feeble position versus
the feeble position? Who thinks it's that?
I mean, look, it is possible to be in a feeble position.
Yeah,
for
true,
sure.
But that's not the same thing as the fetal position.
No, right. Oh, phase versus phase. So pH versus F. I don't.
Oh, right. Like it didn't phase me.
Oh, I think this one's more common.
That's F-A-Z-E.
Hone in versus home in. Hone in, like hone in on something.
Yeah.
Versus homing in on something. You see, like, so the word hone means to like sharpen.
Yeah.
Or improve, right? But to home in is to get closer to something.
Right.
So
I kind of see the home again.
I know.
I kind of see where you're sharpening it. You're making it. You're getting closer. I don't know. But yeah, homing in, homing pigeon.
Brother-in-laws versus brothers-in-law.
Yeah, that's kind of an attorneys general kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And that the other one is of course, and I may forego the Patrick on this one, but it's sons of bitches, not son of a bitches. It's sons of bitches. That's the plural of son of a bitch.
Now all I can think about is that scene from Stripes.
Which one?
When he's giving English lessons. It's like, does anybody here know any English? Really, you don't know that?
It has been a long time.
Guy raises his hand. He's
long.
Like, son of a bitch. Anyway.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. It has been too long since I've seen that movie.
Yeah, it has been too long. If it's
I only
been more than 2 weeks,
training
it's been too long.
Half of it, rather than the. the weird mission that they have. Like,
well, the mission parts. That's like it's like there's like 3 parts, right? There's the beginning, like the pre-army part. Mm-hmm. There's the army training part.
Yeah.
And then there's the mission part.
Right. And the training part is the only part that sticks in my head for some reason.
Wow.
I regularly use the phrase "lighten up, Francis."
I use the phrase "have that removed, Corporal." Have that removed. I don't usually say Corporal. I was like, yeah, have that removed. If I trip over something, have that removed. Yeah. Where's your sergeant, son? Blown up, sir. Oh, such a good movie. Gosh,
it is good.
Bill Murray.
A little problematic, but hey, aren't they all from back then?
That one, I mean, honestly, it's actually...
That's not too bad, actually.
No, it's I think it's downright PC, actually, for comparatively speaking.
It's been a while. I always just kind of assume they're all horrible.
When he's begging he's begging his girlfriend, Anita, not to go. Like she's leaving him because she's just done with him. And I think it's all because of he basically ruined her dry cleaning because his car got impounded, and anyway, it was the whole thing. So I think she was kind of already on her way out, but this was like the tipping point. And so, but he says to her, she's like trying to leave, and he's like holding on to something. He says, "You can't leave. All the plants are going to die." I've said that a few times too. No one ever gets it. It's kind of like I'm talking to myself a lot in my life.
Yeah, I am with you on that one.
With that, I'm talking to myself a lot. Yeah, I get it.
I think you're definitely talking to yourself a lot.
So, so the dentist thing. The context, I don't remember I think I was talking to Michelle maybe, or maybe it was somebody else. Yeah, that part's not important. What's important is that I was likening something to, in the dentist office, when you go to the dentist for like a checkup, which I'm like way overdue for because I won't go because of COVID. Because I'm thinking to myself, it's probably the least safe environment of any environment to be in. Like I should go eat inside at Chuck E. Cheese without a mask before I go to the dentist, because you're sitting there in this enclosed space. It's not like they're doing dental work outside, and your mouth's wide open.
Yep, the whole time. With hands in there.
And the stuff's gonna fall. I don't care if somebody's 12 feet away from me getting there. It's like, oh, we have them physically distanced. They're like 12 feet away. Have you seen the stuff squirting out of your mouth?
Yeah. When they go in there with
stuff gets like 6 feet high.
It's aerosoling junk up into the air.
They're like spraying, and like the water's like you're embarrassed. You're embarrassed because you're like, I know, like water, I can see it like ricocheting off of my tongue and back into your face. It's like I feel bad, but it's kind of your fault, right?
Right, you're doing this.
There's no way that's not aerosolizing and like making its way over to right. So I'm like, I haven't gone to the dentist anyway. But when you go to the dentist, you spend all this time with a hygienist typically, right? Like you're there. The hygienist he or she, almost universally a she, is doing all the work. I mean everything. Right?
Yeah.
They talk to you.
The dentist comes in and just goes.
They run you through radiology. If you're getting X-rays done, they do the cleaning thing, right? They do the fluoride. They do the chiseling thing. They get that thing in there, and they're like trying to they're scraping. There's the scraping part, and the scraping part is bad enough, but then there's that part where they like stick that thing, right? Yeah. But the scraping thing that they do, sometimes I just want to say, like, I think that's good.
Yeah, I think we're done here.
We'll get that next time. I think.
How about I just brush more?
In fact, I'm a big believer that like the seal, like sometimes you have that leaky pipe under the sink, the trap part, and you'll have a slow leak there, but you don't really realize it, right? Until like. When because everybody, I don't know if everyone else is like this or not. I'm sure they are. But they, like under the sink, I don't have don't know that I have any sinks that are like pristine, like are empty under the sink.
Oh,
like,
no.
There's like so much stuff under there.
That's where all the cleaning supplies go.
Cleaning supplies, like. I mean, I'm sure I have like a turkey sandwich stuffed in there somewhere. Like I have, like so many things are in there that I never had. Like I haven't touched. You get in there, you're like, oh look, this is in here, and then you put it back. I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna put this right back.
I'll just remember that this is where it is.
That cologne that I wore in the late '80s.
Dracar Noir.
It was actually I was a I was a Kuros fan.
Kuros.
Kuros,
I don't know that. I'm familiar with Kuros.
Oh, it's delicious. It's wonderful. It's lovely.
Delicious. I don't think you were using it right.
It's a delicious scent. So anyway, you find something, but there's that you see, like you can see the mineral residue of like where something was dripping at one point.
Sure.
Like,
yeah.
oh, right. But it's not dripping anymore. No, because you left it alone for so long that
the mineral deposit plugged it up.
It sealed itself. Right?
Right.
So I feel like sometimes you just leave stuff sealed. Like,
yeah.
Stop chiseling. You're gonna like maybe you're going to release something bad. Like maybe there's a purpose for the seal.
Maybe I got an evil spirit in there or something.
I mean, and I don't even understand like how that happens. Like, when I go to the dentist, typically I was like an every 6 months person, and I brush twice a day and I floss religiously. And I have to tell you how I began to floss religiously at some point. I don't know if I told you that or not, but
you have not mentioned that.
It's like I brush and I do all the things you're supposed to do. Like how is it possible? How is it possible that in 6 months, brushing twice a day
with
and
all
flossing with all of that, and it's not like I eat candy, like I don't.
Right.
How is it
or
possible
spackle.
that there's something so wrong every time that you have to spend like
on every
16
single
minutes, like scrape. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, right?
What is that stuff?
Clearly, you're doing damage. Okay.
Amen.
And then they do the fluoride thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, I really liked the fluoride treatment when I was a kid. They would like they would like baste your teeth in some kind of dish, and they would ask you like, what flavor do you want? It was like always bubble gum.
Yeah,
always
bubble gum is like
right. They don't really do that anymore. But when then she's finished, then you do the whole rinse thing. Right, and that's the weirdest. That like you get that like gritty spit, like it's still in your sheet. It doesn't matter.
Right, like when you crunch
for hours, you're like, oh, I still like that. It's really I rinsed it out well. And then she flosses. They do the little floss thing, right?
And you feel like that's kind of a jip, right? Because you're sort of like, I can do that.
I know, but
I don't have the little orbital sander. I can't do that part.
That's true, but it's also like getting your shoes shined or something. You know, like I could do that, but it's kind of nice to like have somebody else do it, right?
She kind of gives it a last little whack with the.
I mean, I'm the kind of person I do make sure that I floss and brush my teeth before I go.
Oh,
because like I don't want to be like hurt. I don't want her to discover that I had like eggs Florentine or something. I mean, like, so I don't even know what that. I don't even know what that is. I don't even know that exists. Is eggs Florentine? Isn't that like a spinach thing? Isn't that like eggs and spinach? I don't know. Anyway,
it sounds very much like it has spinach in it.
Definitely has. There's definitely stuff in your teeth. We don't know what it is, but there's definitely stuff there. So when she's finished all of that, and I'm saying she because I've never had a male hygienist. I'm not saying they don't exist. I'm not saying they're not competent and wonderful. I'm just saying this hasn't been my experience. I mean, it hasn't been my experience. I haven't had a non-competent experience. I'm saying that I have not experienced the male hygiene. Anyway, when she finishes, that's when it gets interesting. Because at that point, she says, okay, I'm going to go get Dr. So-and-so.
Right.
You know, take a, right. So then Dr. So-and-so, and then the anxiety starts.
Right.
And I can feel, not only am I anxious, I'm anxious for her. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm anxious that he's going to come over and judge her work, and her work happens to be in my mouth. And so, like, I'm now part of this thing. Like, I'm in it with her. Like, I hope you did a good job, because, like, I don't want to be the reason, like,
Right. So you are now both the patient and kind of a critiqued work of art at this point, that she has, like, her job on your teeth is now also being critiqued, not just your own dental health.
Yes. And so he comes over. Sometimes it's a she, but in my experience, it's always been a he. Comes over and then he's like, and that's the thing they do this thing where they're like, they bring over the instrument that they don't let anybody else have.
Right. Yeah.
It's the sharpest instrument in the box. I think they issue like one. I think you get it. Like doctors of medicine get a stethoscope kind of thing. In a white jacket.
Right,
Like
yeah.
I think that dentists must get that sharp instrument.
Right.
When they graduate,
it's got a little, like, an engravement of his initials on there.
It's got some weight. It's got some weight to it. Some really good balance. Like you can imagine. Like it's like
Probably titanium.
Yes. Then there's a song written about it. So then they come over and they start doing that like pressing thing. They're like pressing down on your tooth, and you're like, why are you doing? She didn't do that. Like, was she supposed to do that? Was she supposed to press down? Like, what are you checking for? What are you doing? Like, why?
Well, they are looking for cavities with that thing.
I get it. Except that they could maybe they're creating cavity. Like, why are you jamming that on every single spot? Like, what is it about that one tooth and the next tooth and the next tooth that you have to jam it? Like, is there a spot there? Like, did she miss something? Are you uncertain? Can you talk it through with me? Like,
and how come so many times it's not? Like, you're pushing and pushing. Like, you couldn't see that there's not a thing there? Or does a not a thing look exactly like a thing? And so you got to poke it to see which one it is.
Right. I mean, she was just in my mouth for an hour. Chances are she could probably see that she probably knows more than you do. Right.
Possible there, and there.
Right. So he's like jamming, right? And then he'll like, then they press on the gum sometimes. Like,
yeah. I hate
why?
that.
What are you doing? What are you doing? I thought the floss was the test. I don't bleed when I floss. That's the indication that I floss on a regular basis, right? We all know if you floss and you bleed, unless you pushed really hard by accident or something, you're using that like hyper fine, cheap ass, like, oh, sorry, Patrick, cheap,
we can do that
floss thing. Okay, well, now that you tell me,
let me rephrase.
I may use it with abandon.
The sentence, we can do as. I may need to clarify that just a tad. But.
Okay. So like he's doing another thing, but he's not speaking through it. He's like, okay, all right, okay, I'm like, what does that even mean, right? And then, well, then he gets. Then I don't know. Does your dentist also do like I guess the oral cancer screen thing? Like takes gauze. Yeah. And they'll take the gauze and they'll say like, okay, like say say You're like and then he grabs your tongue like yes! It's like a party trick or something. Like maybe give me a little warning next time. Like I'm gonna grab your tongue with
gauze.
I'm gonna grab your tongue with gauze. I'm gonna check. Let me tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm going to I'm gonna grab your tongue and I'm gonna lift it up and move it around, and I'm gonna be like Qui-Gon, the way he treated Jar Jar. Like,
right.
I'm going to do that to you, and I'm going to move it around because I'm looking for cancer.
Right.
And in fact, when you're home, these are the things that you could do yourself to check.
Not get tongue cancer.
Or to check also. Like, this is what you'd be looking for, right? They don't do any of that. They just grab your tongue and move it all around.
And the thing is, they grab it with the gauze. I wish that there was some kind of maybe a rubberized thing that they use, because gauze, like, you're like, for like an hour after that, you're still feeling that gauze pressing on your tongue, and your tongue is now like dry as a bone. You're like, and it's terrible. It's God.
Right?
And does it seem to you, when you're talking about pushing down on you with the dentist, does it seem like he's being like unnecessarily, like he's like trying to prove how much he's been to the gym or something? Because it seems like he's pushing me into the seat, and then especially the one on your uppers where he's like, and I'm getting like,
I want to shake his hand and squeeze it harder than I've ever squeezed it. Like, oh, thank you. Like, I mean, like, how do you like this? Like,
seriously, I mean, this is my head, dude.
And I mean, can you imagine if a urologist behave like that. I mean, come on. Like, I don't need to know how strong you are. I also don't need to know how long your fingers are. Like, just
Yeah, the proctologist is another one that you're like.
well,
okay,
urologists do that too. Like they all like to, screen.
Moon River.
It's like the most. There's. I'm sorry, but like, that's got to be the most. I mean, the first time that ever happens, as a man, like the whole prostate exam thing, like that is like. This is something you never ever want to happen, admit to have happening, talk about, right? It's just like, it's even right now as I describe it, and we talk about all sorts of stuff, and I'm just super uncomfortable even like approaching it, no pun intended. Like it's just never, it's not pleasant for anybody.
No,
and you can't imagine for
nobody
the doctor,
involved in
and
this
like you're very apologetic. You're like,
wants to be involved in this.
I'm so sorry you have to do this. Maybe we could not do this time.
It's like, I'm gonna try not having a butt
Just
for a
like,
while.
let's just.
So that we don't have to do any of this.
That's just not. Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. No good.
No, not good at all. So, so back to the dentist. Let's go to the other end. Let's go to the other end of the body. Back to the other end of the body. Then you get that. There's that moment where you, when you're finished, and I don't know if this is all dentist office or not, but like when you're finished, there's no clear ending to it.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
they give.
it's weird.
I think,
It's sort of an awkward thing.
I feel like the signal is, here's your toothbrush. They give you like that little bag.
Right. Yeah. And then
you get the goodie
little
bag, like that has a
handwritten
toothbrush in it, and like the
card
little,
for your next appointment.
yeah, and then the dental floss thing, and then they give it to you, and then but there's no like, I don't know.
Them
I
handing
don't
you
I don't even know what I'm waiting for, honestly. Like, I don't know why I
Right.
want some kind of ceremony. I just feel like, is that it?
Because she starts busying herself with like paperwork, and you're not sure if you're supposed to wait for that to be done or if you're just kind of supposed to slink off.
And I'll say, like, because they don't. I mean, like, it's not like they escort you back.
Right.
Like, I can't. I guess I'll see you later. See you later.
She's like Willy Wonka over there going, "I'm extraordinarily busy, sir."
Right? Yes. I said good day. I wonder, like, was it enjoyable for you? Like, I don't know. Like,
Yeah,
what's
it's
it?
good. Do I tip? What happens here?
Oh, also, like, every dentist office I've been in since I was a child has like a television of some sort, like mounted either right like on the wall somewhere, or sometimes right above you.
Yeah, now that they got the flat screens, they can put it on the ceiling.
Right above you. I mean, so sometimes they're on like an arm and they can like swing it around and everything. But never do they offer to like give me the remote or anything.
Right, yeah.
So I'm stuck
Like, here,
watching
you watch
like whatever's
you
on.
watch Nat Geo.
It's like, I'm sorry, like I do like some news, but like I can't watch. Like, do I have to watch MSNBC for the next hour? Like, I don't need that kind of stress in my life.
I got a documentary of the hippopotamus up here, and this isn't taking my mind off of things.
No, but see, I would love for that. I mean, give me some.
Well, it's not like you can hear it. You just kind of.
Well, that's the other right. Sometimes the sound's
That's
down.
a hippopotamus,
Like,
all right.
Like, what?
That dude looks like he's studying it.
It's like David Attenborough, like in my head.
Mutual of Omaha.
So that was the whole but the dentist thing was the thing that why it came to mind was that somebody does all this work, and then this other person comes along to like critique it, and like,
Yeah.
and it's awkward.
And like you're both on the chopping block.
And we're both. I feel like we're both in it. We're both in it, and high five. This happened to the dentist.
Sort of a pep talk with her. All right, I'm gonna open real wide. Now you make sure you got it right. I mean, you can take another look real quick. I mean, we don't have to go just yet. I mean, make sure. Are you sure? All right. Now,
Right.
do you want me to like lean back
But-
or what?
but it would-
What's best to view your work here? I want to be us to be together on this.
Yes, she'd love that. I'm sure she'd love that. She'd be like,
What the hell is the gas on?
give him extra gauze.
Grab his tongue with a
right?
oven mitt.
So one time, I had a cracked tooth, or it was a cracked. It was a tooth that had a filling in it, like an old filling, but it had cracked, like at the filling, I guess, or something. And so then, the question was whether they needed to do like a crown or a partial crown or something, and so they opted for this partial crown, and which was really as it turns out, I think they were just trying out some brand new technology, and I was like one of the first people to ever have it done, because they did this like mapping thing. It like took three like these 3-dimensional photos of the tooth, and it was really cool. Like created this digital model. I can see it on the screen, cool. And then they used that to create to create the material. I can't imagine the material like the crown was made out of. It's like some kind of
it's like ceramic or something.
No, that's ceramic, but like a polymer of some sort. Like, yeah, it's like but anyway, and then so they're doing the whole thing, and then they have to like seal it on there and everything, and they use like a special light to like, to like, I guess, activate probably the adhesive of some sort. Anyway, probably ultraviolet or something. When it was all said and done, my dentist, the guy, his wife happened to be a dentist also, who also worked in the practice, and never got to see her. She was probably lovely and not as forceful.
Quite be so toxic with her pushing tool.
And any guys, like, if you ever get the opportunity to have a female doctor, it's not a bad thing. Like, they listen. They like ask you questions. They don't interrupt you. They don't never seem to be in a rush.
Night, everybody.
Oh my god. Oh god. Okay. Which is important for dentists. So he calls her, like, I don't even know if he calls her. She comes over to like check his work.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And she gives him like a good job. Like, oh yeah, that's good. Good job. Like, what do you mean good job? What do you mean? Was he in training? Or
what do you do?
What do you mean good job? Like, was there a chance it wouldn't be a good job?
Yeah. Yeah. What did he screw up? Like, why is he suddenly under supervision?
I was like, wait, what? Yeah. It's still fine. It hasn't moved or shifted as far as I know or anything.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
And how long ago was it put in?
Probably like 2017, something like that. Ish.
Okay.
Or 16, maybe 16. I don't know.
Surely if it was going to screw up, it would have been. So let me ask you something real quick about the dentist. The person that's cleaning your teeth, what are you saying that person is?
A hygienist.
Okay.
Is that not a word? Am I falling prey to my own complaint? Is this
I think you might be.
Dental hygienist.
Because that sounds like a portmanteau of dentist and hygienist.
A dental hygienist.
Dental hygienist.
Hygienist.
There's no T.
Hygienist. What did I say? Hygienist?
Yeah.
Oh,
you've been saying
right.
hygienist.
Wow. Well, there you go. Add that to the list. Hygienist.
There you go. Hygienist. Okay. I think there's probably.
Oh yeah, it's hard for me to even say it differently. Even reading the word like I know it's hygienist. If you ask me to spell it,
right, you spell it right, but just.
Right. I think it's the dental part, maybe.
Right. Yeah.
Hygienist.
Yeah.
Hygienist.
Of the 5 people that listen to our podcast, I'm sure 3 of them were going, okay, somebody's got to bring this up.
Hygienist.
You can say a hygienist.
Oh God, no.
Lady, are you my dental hygienist? Am I your what?
How long have you been a hygienist? Actually, well, I've never been a hygienist.
Did you go to hygiental school?
It's higher than the dental school, see?
It's very high. It's high and gentle.
Oh my God. Oh boy. Well, that's embarrassing. I think that was my dentist thing. That was my
Your dentist thing.
Yeah, it was that was interesting in my head, at least.
So many things are true in your head.
So many things are true in my head. So many things are true in my head. That's true. That is very much true. I didn't tell you about I feel like I need to complete the story, which is about the floss thing.
Oh yes.
So,
I had a thing on that too. So
my teeth, like a lot of my teeth are really like close together.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't like it was always problematic flossing because like traditional floss just would get stuck.
Ooh, yeah.
Like I get it in there and then you have to like push down really hard to get it in there. And sometimes by pushing down so hard, you'd hit your gum and then bleed.
Twang, yeah.
Yeah, it hurts. And then to get it out, it's like I was afraid I'm like you yank my tooth out to get it out.
Mm-hmm.
And then I finally also
just long ways or something.
Yeah, then you're just like leaving the debris in there. I feel like you're just like
yeah, exactly.
So I did finally find the dental floss that I like the most, which is like this. I think it's Oral-B. Like it's like the ribbon kind. It's like it's like, and it's also mint. It's also minty. I like the mint.
The minty is good.
But because it's like ribbon, it's really flat. It's not rounded. It's really flat, and so it just slides in a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
But it still was a chore because here's the other thing. Some people use those dental floss pick things.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen those? I don't understand how they do that because I don't like to use the same bit of floss on a different space.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And
you're talking about the thing that kind of comes up and it's got two prongs and there's a little bit of floss between those two.
Yeah. It looks like it could be like a little string instrument or something.
Or it's like that, a coping saw. It goes up and over and then it's got the little band in between it.
Yes.
And you use it to make your Pinewood Derby car.
Mm-hmm. And so I don't, I when I'm flossing, I don't know how you floss, but when I floss, like I have to take my floss and then I like do that and then I advance it and then I do it and then I advance it and I do it and I advance it. And that's a lot of advancing.
Yeah.
So, so when I floss, I go through a lot of floss because when I floss, I take out basically like well over 5 feet of floss each time.
You go one arm width.
I do. I basically go one. That's like an arm span almost practically. It probably is. And then I throw it over my shoulder. Well, because what are you going to do with it?
Well, you were going to floss with it, weren't you?
Well, yeah, but I mean, what do you do with all the excess? Like until you've used it? And
I always wrap it around my hands.
But then it doesn't come free like easily. So
then you can do you can inch down.
Well, I wrap it around my finger, the one end, the starter end, right? And the other was is just loosely, it's just casually draped over my shoulder. I'm like Crystal Gale, and then
right. With one single minty strand of hair.
So then then I go each tooth and then I wind,
okay,
right, and then I advance, and so it's advancing, right. But I get by the time I get finished the top, even before I'm finished the top row, because I do top left to right. I don't know why, and then.
Well, you're in the northern hemisphere.
I probably right, southern hemisphere. If it was in Italy,
it goes the other way.
So then I start to get anxious.
you start to get anxious.
Yeah, like what if I run out?
Right, and you can't tell because it's behind you, so you don't see when the end is coming.
Correct. And so
such is life.
Because sometimes I like I have to go a couple times at a tooth, so because I go until it's clean.
Right.
And they don't. There's no like wet wipe for the flossing situation, so I have to like I'm getting in there with like until it's clean. Completely clean, right? So I don't really know how to judge it going in, like how long of a floss. I don't want to waste floss. So I get panicked if I get to the point when I'm on the bottom. I'm back to the bottom left. I get panicked if I'm like only have like a little smidgen left, because you can't wrap that, because I have to wrap it. I also have to tighten around my right hand.
Right, because you got to keep it taut.
Taunt, yes, not to be confused with tauntaun.
No.
So
that's when Han Solo will see you in hell.
Right. So you get to that part where you get really anxious if you're like running out, because you can't, and what I noticed is like I get so stressed about this whole situation that I wound
you forget you have a whole roll of this.
No, I ran it so tight that shut up. Well, I'm not going to go back in. I'm not going to I got to use this one strand. See, I'm not going to go get more.
It becomes a thing.
But I'll wind it so tight sometimes that my finger's getting purple. Like the end of it's purple, because I've constricted it and I've cut off all the blood supply to the tip of my finger, because I'm like winding and anxious and like
running out of floss.
And like on more than one occasion, I've had trouble getting it unwound. Like somehow it gets wrapped up under itself. Like I'm like some accidental Cub Scout. Yeah. Like I was never capable of like tying knots.
Shank?
But
what
this
is that?
way, right? This one time, like I'm like, oh my gosh, I may lose my finger now.
Well, it was a bizarre flossing accident.
So it's a lot of stuff that has to happen, right? Yeah, every night.
Yeah, flossing's a stressful time.
And so I didn't. So for for many years, I just didn't floss. I just didn't.
You'll save yourself the headache, man.
I just didn't. So, but then I decided I'm going to start flossing every single night, period, rest of my life, right? So the way I did that, and I've done the same thing. I've done the same thing with push-ups. I don't know why. Why did you ever stop me? Like sometimes I feel like you should send me a text sometimes.
Why
saying,
in the world
Jason,
would I?
Jason, I think this is the part where you should stop talking. No one wants to know this.
Great.
No one. So what I did, the way I started this was, I kid you not, one tooth. That was my agreement with myself. Like I will just do one tooth, and each night I will do one more tooth.
Oh, okay. So you sort of eased yourself into it. It was sort of a couch to 5K of flossing.
It was literally the Jeff Galloway version of. Yes, exactly that. And except there was no music involved. So
yeah.
And by the time you get halfway through your mouth, at least for me, I'm like, I'm just doing the rest. I'm not gonna. So it didn't even take me however many days it should take you. I don't know that number of teeth, whatever.
It's
yeah,
different for everybody at this point.
It is, especially if you don't floss every day. So I just ended up accelerating the program, and it was good. And push-ups the same way. Like it's like you do as many pushes as you can. What were you thinking? I was saying.
I'm thinking of those orange sherbet cakes. We're talking about your mouth, and so it's like immediately went to, I gotta know how this is gonna work out.
Those are push pops, aren't they?
Well, no, there's push-ups. The
or they were called push-ups. I never liked those things really.
I liked them, but
they melted fast.
When you got they did melt fast.
Yeah.
And when you got to the end, there was that bizarre
plastic ring, like plastic.
Yeah, and it's like really smooth, and it feels weird on your tongue, but you got it because it's also rounded on the edges, and so there's like a collection of orange sherbet that you have to kind of like get out of the corner. I don't know.
Yeah, I just avoided that altogether. I went for do you remember the ice? There was like an ice cream cone that had bubble gum ball at the bottom of the.
No, I don't think I do.
Maybe it wasn't ice cream. Maybe it was like a snow cone kind of thing, but it was like a snow cone
That
like
seems
pre-made
that would
snow
work better.
cone, not like it was like in the bottom. Anyway,
Whoever started putting the little chocolate down in the bottom of the cone, that guy was a genius.
that was the king cone. Remember the king? Was that king cone or king something?
Well, you see it a lot now in lots of different ones, but it's like there's this obvious problem that this turns into a funnel pretty quick. And,
we can stop it with chocolate.
With chocolate.
And now
I mean,
it
that's
becomes
perfect.
like the best part.
Yeah,
I mean, now it's the part that everyone's looking forward to.
Right, because it's going to have a little bit of like ice cream
it's
runoff
like
on it, and it's going to be fantastic.
It's still.
Yeah.
Now I want
Good
that.
stuff.
But then it becomes like this Seinfeld like thing where do you remember the muffin episode where they were because it was a thing in the 90s where muffin tops was like all the rage.
Right.
And you could literally buy muffin tops. And there were pans made so that you didn't get like the full muffin effect. You just got the best part of the muffin, right? Like the crispy, crusty. Anyway, I can imagine that there would also be a market for just that little end.
Yeah.
You know, just that little bit, like a little bite-sized morsel. Like it just has a little bit of ice cream and a little bit of cone and the fudge, and that's it. It's like a little snack, like a little miniature, like a little Hershey's miniature kind of thing. But like, why don't they have that?
I don't know. What would you call them? What would be a good name for those? Tips.
Fudgy tips.
Fudgy tips.
Yes. It's perfect.
That sounds like something I don't want to Google, but
cold fudgy tips.
By Frank Zappa.